The 14th of February 2026 is a date Stags fans will never forget, as it becomes only the second time in the Stags' history that they've knocked a top-flight side out of the FA Cup. But in typical Mansfield fashion, whilst we have joy on the Saturday, it's not so great on the Tuesday. I don't think I'll ever stop watching that Lewis Reed free kick and the memories that it will give us forever and a day. However, if you'd have asked me before the game at Burnley, exit the FA Cup and win at Blackpool, or get through the FA Cup and lose at Blackpool, I think I'd have taken an FA Cup exit. As it is, we've got a phenomenal prize in Arsenal and we'll revel in the joy of Saturday forever and ever and ever, and we'll do that probably through the majority of tonight's show. But there will be a hint of realism as we take a look at Sky Bet League One and the fact that the Stags, having lost their last two league games, are now just 6 points from the relegation zone, albeit with a game in hand. However, in the next three games, they have got three very big tests. We'll talk all about that and the FA Cup glory tonight, so come and have your say on your team in the live feed comments. This is the show for the fans, by the fans, where no matter what happens, Mansfield always matters. Roses are red, violets are blue. In the FA Cup fourth round, it finished Burnley 1, Mansfield 2. A poem I'm sure will be etched in the memories of Stags fans for years and years and years to come. And another FA Cup glory day out for us. Tonight we will revel in that and look at the league form as well. So hello, good evening and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Well, because Mansfield always matters. If you're finding us for the first time, well, where have you been for the last 9 years? Welcome along to the journey anyway. You're more than welcome to join us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. As ever, this is the platform for you guys at home to have your say on your team, to talk all things Mansfield Town Football Club. So if you want to do so, get them down in the live feed comments. And if you're listening back to the audio version of this, follow us on all things social media to find out when we're next going to be live. And come along and join with us. My name's Craig, the host, and whatever you want to call me on this podcast. And I'm joined tonight by a panel of not one, not two, not three, but four Stags mad fans who will all cherish Valentine's Day 2026 forever, but perhaps not the Tuesday night which followed it. So let's, without further ado, live, take my teeth out, put them back in, introduce you to those quartet of Stags loving fans. Firstly, say hello, good evening, and welcome to a man who has been on Arsenal's website, on their under 18s page, under 21s page, on their first team page, even on their under 14s page, just in case, practicing all their surnames for a couple of weeks' time. Let's say hello to the Stags announcer, Mr. Alan Wilson. Evening, Al.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
Now, have you been practicing the names for the FA Cup fifth round?
Not really, no. I just get there on the day and we'll sort it from there. And if I don't know any, I'll go down and ask them.
More Alan Wilson magic to come. Can we please, Al, please, I will pay you good money in the FA Cup game for an exchange. Just one exchange.
Move on.
All right, I'll move on to a man who also will pay good money to get Alan Wilson to say has been exchanged. Though it'll only probably about be 20p because he spent the rest of his money on a subscription to Hollyoaks. Evening, Cam.
Oh dear, 9 seasons in. Have we got any new jokes? No? Maybe?
Never new jokes, Cameron.
No, clearly.
Never. Let's say hello and good evening and welcome to a man who might be on a slight delay, but hopefully it's refreshed itself now. A man who saw joy on Saturday at Burnley, but despair on Tuesday in Blackpool. And that was before the match because he couldn't find whack-a-mole. Evening, Clive.
Good evening, everybody. Fresh back from Blackpool, just caught up with all my sleep.
Just caught up with all your sleep. Wow, it must have been a long, long journey indeed. Well,
I had jet lag.
Can you get jet lag from Blackpool?
You can, yeah.
Well, there you go. Let's finally, without further ado, say hello, good evening, and welcome to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jim Evans. Evening, Jim.
Evening, Craig. Evening, one and all.
Good to see you as ever. What a Valentine's Day it was for you at Burnley.
Yeah, it was a good day out, wasn't it? Wasn't expecting that, really. I thought we deserved it in the second half. But Tuesday sort of dampened it a bit. But one thing at a time, I guess.
Indeed it is. Right, let's get into it then. As ever, if you want to have your say on your team, then feel free to do so in the comments below. Well, usually I would start with all the glory and hype and all that, but I'm sure that's going to dominate the majority of tonight's show. So, Alan, I'm going to start with Tuesday night. And the phrase "after the Lord Mayor's show" springs to mind, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was, Craig. I don't think anybody particularly came out, with any good points for their actually, Dave had a decent game, and I thought Macca wasn't too bad. Oatsy looked lively when he came on, but like you say, after the Lord Mayor's show. But where was the defence when Ennis, had got an hour to turn around and put it in net?
It was a frustrating goal to concede, Clive, and I'm sure it was a frustrating performance to watch at times. You were in the stands. What was the general feeling amongst those who travelled to a cold Blackpool on Tuesday?
Craig, you're breaking up at my end. I think I ought to log out and log back in again.
No worries. Cam, pick it up. You obviously weren't there on Tuesday night, but it was a frustrating watch all the same on Sky Sports Plus, wasn't it?
The amount of times I nearly put my blobber through the TV on Tuesday was horrific.
Sorry, you put your what? You were going to put your what?
Your blobber, your remote, clicker. Your blobber.
You're a strange boy.
Anyway, the chances that we wasted in that first 15 minutes, and just every other chance that came in the game, very, very frustrating because we were so clinical when our chances did come. Just about clinical on Saturday. Took our chances when we needed to, and it got us the win. And I think it's the same as what it was last Tuesday against Peterborough. It's these chances that are coming along. We're just wasting them, and again, it's coming back to bite us on the arse as it did last season. Albeit we're in a bit of a better position than we were last season at this stage, but still, we're struggling up front. And we are just getting dragged back into the relegation fight, all because we can't score a goal. We're not shipping all that many goals, but we can't. If you can't score, that's the biggest worry.
And that is a big worry for us at the moment, Jim, isn't it? I was looking through the last 6 league games, 3 goals scored in the league in the last 6, and given the firepower that we've got and the options we've got available to us, that's not great, is it?
It's not, but I think it's the right way around. If you are getting sucked into a relegation fight, it's more important that the back door's shut. But I think we sort of ebb and flow with goals, don't we? I think we're creating the chances, so the goals will appear. And I think while Oates is basically fit and Tyler Roberts isn't far away and Henry's back on the pitch, I think we'll be all right for goals. I'm not too worried. I think the performance is, apart from Tuesday, is basically okay. We're just a bit inconsistent, aren't we? We're just a bit hit and miss.
Nigel Clough said in his post-match, Clive, that he felt we should have had a draw. Did you feel the same?
No, I didn't think we were worth anything from the game. I thought we were guileless. They were tired, I think, as much as anything. Only one mistake, 1 goal, but we hadn't got anything up front. There was nothing being created. Poor old Reid was trying to do everything himself in the middle of the park, and they swamped him out. And as Jim says, better to keep the back door closed, and we nearly did it. And at the best, it would have been a 0-0 draw. But we made the mistake, which they capitalised on. Of course, it was CJ Hamilton who put the assist in, but there was no defender anywhere near the guy who scored. You just write that off as a mistake, but if we scored 2 at the other end, it wouldn't have mattered. but there was nothing coming out the other end. It was
No,
better in
there
the
wasn't.
second
I
half
think-
when we brought the subs on. In the first half, we got what's the lad called from John? From
John Russell.
John Russell was a waste of a shirt. I thought Iro's probably realising now he's a bit out of his depth most of the time. So I thought, Victor was toothless. So it was no surprise that because the Clough and his team have been watching the same game as I did, they took those 3 off, and we did improve when they were off. Now, whether he's spreading his resources over the 3 games over a week, I don't know, but the team wasn't good enough to beat a very average Blackpool.
It's interesting, Jim, because obviously, given what we did on Saturday, which we will talk about, don't worry, I've been invited on a number of podcasts this week, be it preview shows for league games or generic footballing shows or whatever. And the one question I've been asked is, why do I feel that we're so light up front? And I think the answer is that the players that we have in those attacking positions aren't fit. They're not ready and available. You have to look at players like Vic and think, well, prior to joining us, he'd been out for the best part of 18 months. Reece Oates has spent the best part of 2 years on the sidelines. Will Evans, as we know, is a confidence player who hasn't got the right link-up partner at the minute. Regan Hendry's coming back from injury. The list goes on and on and on. And when you're rotating as heavily as Nigel Clough is at the minute to accommodate the games like Clive alludes to, Jim, it's no wonder that we're struggling to find that consistency and that spark in front of goal.
Yeah, you can't get any rhythm going, can you, when you don't have a settled side? And that's one of the criticisms you'd have, really, of rotation. You don't get the benefits of a settled side that are touchy-feely with each other. But I think in our case, though, as well, I think don't underestimate the loss of McDonnell, because he did a lot of work so the people in front of him could just go. And now he's not there. Everybody's having to sort of pick up that work. And the space, how deep the midfield was in the first half on Tuesday, it was unreal. And the gap between the midfield and the front players was ridiculous. But yeah, and like I say, the fitness of our forwards isn't great. But I'd like to think we've got enough in the tank to do enough to stay up. But it just seems the same old issues, doesn't it, all the time? Where we recruit injured players or the facilities aren't quite up to it. It's just the same thing year in, year out. It's very frustrating at times.
Alan, I think Jim's got a massive point there. You know, McDonnell was such a player that could fill a number of positions in a role in a different way. We haven't been able to replace that because, let's be honest, there's not players like that available on the market. We haven't quite found that rhythm again, so we've had to change the system slightly in the way that we play, and I think that's affecting us sometimes, and we've certainly seen it in the way in which we've conceded goals.
I think we've got to find a replacement. You know, obviously, we've got to find him through the players we've got. Now, when Reed's on form and we're in the ascendancy, I don't think we've got a problem. But it's that early goal. Every time it seems to do us. You know, if we get it, although at Burnley, they scored first, which were fair enough, but you always got the feeling that Mansfield would come back. When they scored on Tuesday night, I hadn't got the same feeling. Although I watched the match, I was quite happy to watch the match, obviously, with it being Stags. But they just didn't seem to have that oomph. But I think Victor was very unfortunate with that penalty shout. Because they were just all over him. Even Jeanette said that she was watching the match with me. And she said, they're dirty foulers. You know, they're all over the place. But that's what it is, isn't it? It's physical.
I think the thing on that, though, Cam, is as much as we can maybe excuse little things like penalties not going our way or players coming back from full fitness and almost not being at 100%, we have to look over our shoulder. We've played 30 games, won 10, drawn 9, lost 11, plus 4 goal difference, 39 points on the board at the moment. But we're creeping ever closer to that drop zone. And because League One is so tight this season, 6 points clear of the drop at the moment with a game in hand, and we know how sequency Mansfield are, it gives us a little bit of a cause for concern. And when we concede early goals like we did at Blackpool, it just makes us sort of take that sharp intake of breath, sit back and think, are we good enough? And gives us that little bit of doubt.
Yeah, because like you said, we are so hit and miss at the moment. we, like Alan said, we've got players missing. Like you said, we've got players missing and players coming back from injury, and we know what our best 11 is, and it's the team that played at Burnley. But the players that played at Burnley aren't capable of doing 180 minutes in 3 days, and then having the recovery time to do it all over again the following week, and the following week, and the following week, and the following week, and the following. And it's going to be exactly the same for the rest of the season, because we've made it through to the 5th round of the FA Cup. We are now playing pretty much Saturday, Tuesday every week between now and the end of the season, and that's what worries me the most. It's not that the quality, the players aren't there. We know we've got the quality. We haven't got the fitness. The players that we know are the better players can't do Saturday, Tuesday, week in, week out, because that's where we pick up injuries. And even just, we looked so leggy on Tuesday night. We just did not look there. I think if Iro takes that chance early in the game, if Vic gets that penalty and we get a goal, different game. So I feel like we've got enough about to... Sorry, I think we've got enough about us to hold on. But because we're not taking these chances, it's then leaving us vulnerable.
Thing is, we can't rely on ifs, buts and maybes. Ifs, buts and maybes, Jim, don't secure your survival. And at the end of the day, what's more important to our longevity as a club? It's staying in League One. And I really desperately want to talk about the FA Cup game and, revel in the glory and the experience that we all experienced on Saturday. But I can't take my eye off the league table and the form that we're in the league at the moment. We're the only League One team in the last 6 games not to win a game. 3 goals scored, conceding soft goals which are easily preventable, with defensive injuries as well. I've just got this horrible niggling feeling, and ifs, buts and maybes don't secure us survival, and that's what worries me, especially when we've got to go Saturday, Tuesday. If we were playing Saturday, I think we'd be okay because we'd have more recovery time, but we haven't, and that's a massive factor when we get into a bit of a negative run, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think we are a streaky team, and I think 2 or 3 wins and we're basically safe, aren't we? So you can see that coming at some point. But you're right. If buts and maybes, you make your own luck, don't you? You make your own luck. You take your chances, and I think Tyler Roberts coming back will be a big thing. And you can see you can see us losing Saturday, but you can see 2 or 3 wins coming somewhere, then we'll be all right. And I think there's enough teams, bad teams, right at the bottom that will probably keep us up, if anything. But the overriding thing for me is it's just disappointing, because we thought this season was be a bit more comfortable, and it's not. And I think Tuesday was perhaps a bit of a hangover from Saturday. Mm. But the cup, everybody has to get in their head that, all right, the Arsenal game's nice and everything, but it's very much just not the top priority. The league is very much the priority. I'd rather lose 10-0 to Arsenal and stay up.
100%. I'd rather lose 10-0 to Arsenal and stay up. Like I said in the intro, Clive, but, if you'd have offered me a win on Saturday or a win on Tuesday, I'd have taken the win on Tuesday, because the league's far more important. I'm not discounting, by the way, the glory that we experienced on Saturday for a single second. It was magnificent, but that league form's important to us. And, Jim mentioned in there, Clive, about getting Tyler Roberts back, which would be great for us attacking wise. But for me, I think we need to be looking at asking how long Ryan Sweeney's going to be out for, how long Jordan Bowery is away from being back, because defensively we look a little bit leggy. We need those options in there.
Yep. And I think if we'd had Sweeney in the side on Tuesday, it might have been a different situation. You just don't know. I mean, you're right, though, and Clough's right. The points on Tuesday were more important than the win on Saturday, but the win on Saturday as a historic event that those there will not forget. And you could see the look of delight and glee on Mrs. Radford's face when she appeared regularly on television. She thinks it's the most wonderful thing. And she's not referring to the position in the table as looking at relegation. She still thinks it's about getting in the playoffs. She's technically right, of course, but the reality is we won't. We're not that good. If Nick was here, and sort of sunning himself in the Canary Islands, he would remind us all that Mansfield is notably a run maker. They go on winning runs and losing runs. We've had a winning run. When you mentioned a moment or two ago, there was only team with no wins in the last 6 games. Prior to that, we were the only team with 6 wins in 6 games. So, or it might have been 5 wins and a draw. But either way, the whole thing's just turned over. It could turn again. I'm with Jim. I don't think we'll do it on Saturday, but thereafter, with a couple of players coming back and a bit of a breather, because there's no Tuesday game next week, is there?
No, there's
I don't
not.
know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to the challenge against Lincoln, because that's a real measure.
Yeah, it's a huge measure. We'll come on to the Burnley game in a minute. Let's wrap up things with some of the comments, Alan, and always come to you to get us back into a more positive direction. Because honestly, we could lose 19-0 every week, and Alan Wilson would still find a positive, because he'd go, well, it wasn't 20. He'd find a positive. It's just what he does. It's Alan Wilson's nature. Let's delve into some of the comments then, and get your comments in and your memories in from Burnley now as well. Let's get those ticking in for when we talk about it in a second. Richard says, evening guys, anyone who thought we could go to Blackpool and expect to get a result after the wondrous events at Burnley, asking the players to go again so soon after that game was expecting a lot. They were still on a high, and it was always going to be a difficult game. Clough gave a lot of praise to Evans, says Tom, but don't think he's been very good for a while. I think Clough is trying to pick him up again. Kathy says, Nigel said after the Blackpool game that Oates has hurt his ankle, so couldn't start on Tuesday. Let's hope he's okay for Saturday. Richard says, evening guys, didn't expect much from Blackpool after the Burnley game either. Asking the players to go again so soon after the high at Burnley was a little bit too much. The problem we have now is that the new January acquisitions that came in January haven't played much and are not at the level we need them to be. Michael adds, didn't do our pressing game on Tuesday. Too many gaps, giving them time to play. Simon says, I was expecting so much more from Bolton. Not convinced by Iro after his debut. And Michael also adds to that, Iro has not kicked on from the Port Vale game, offering nothing for me lightweight. I felt he was potentially at fault for the goal as well on Tuesday night. But what we've got there, Alan, is a real quandary, because we've on the one hand, we've got a player who has got so much raw talent who can really change it for us when we're playing confidently, when we're playing on the front foot, and when we're getting the ball into him and giving him space. But on the other hand, we've got a player who hasn't played men's football and who is being asked a lot of him, in the short time of him and being here, and who, through his own admission, I'm sure, has raised the bar way higher than expected, because had he not scored those 2 fantastic goals in his debut, we'd probably be saying his performance is all right. There's a little bit more to come from him, but standards is a different thing, isn't it? So I guess it's just about all slotting it back together in a nice, positive Alan Wilson way.
It is, but I think one of the main things, I agree with Richard on his comment to a certain degree. Everybody was expecting quite a lot from after Burnley, but we didn't know until Tuesday night or afterwards Tuesday that Oates had got a knock. That's why I was on the bench, and various other things. We don't get to know those things until after the match when Nigel's done his interview. So that was probably, obviously the reason why I didn't start, because I'm sure it would have been totally different on the front foot from the start if Oates had started. I know one man doesn't make a team, but it makes a very, very big difference when Oates is playing in his own form. And as for Iro and Bolton, they just need to, they need to assert themselves more and get to the party.
Well, the party, Cam, was very much in Burnley on Valentine's Day. And, well, what an experience. The first time you and I have ever seen us beat a Premier League side in the FA Cup. And the first time, since 1969, that the Stags have got past a top tier side as well. I don't know where to start with that, to be honest, because if we're being brutally honest, at half time, we should have been dead buried, out of sight and facing a hiding. We should have been at least 3-0, if not 4-0 down.
Yeah, and I think it's just that total contrast to what we were facing on Tuesday, on Saturday, where 1-0 down at half time, and we're thinking, that's not too bad. It's a Premier League side. You expect it, this, that, and the other, and you're thinking, about sort of like the what can we do to change things, and Nigel obviously spoke to them at half time, but we were positive about it, and we spent the second half taking it to Burnley, and that's what you've got to do. It's that we were 1-0 down, it was like, right, well, if we don't score, it doesn't matter. We're not losing any points or anything. It's a place in the next round. It's not the be all and end all. And you can go out and play without that fear because you've got nothing to lose. And we rose to the occasion, and that's the most important thing from Saturday for me, was the fact that we took the goal on the chin and we just carried on. And I think that's obviously the polar opposite on Tuesday, but it's that we played without fear in the second half, and we got what we deserved, because that second half was fantastic, and we did everything right. We did the basics right, and we took our chances when it came. And I think that's probably the most frustrating thing from Tuesday.
Yeah, it is.
It's just that contrast that we get the chances and we take them against a Premier League team. We get the chances against a bang average League One team, and we don't take them. But what a draw. And I think it just adds to it the fact that it's Valentine's weekend, so how many people are in the doghouse for going to the football, first and foremost? But in the end, we've drawn the best team in the country at the moment. It's the highest ranked team, and we've got a massive payday coming our way.
Yeah, we have. We'll touch more upon the financial impacts and everything a little bit later on, Clive, but let's stick with the game. We were listening to Andy Garner. By the way, if ever you win if ever you could have a tick list of what you want after you beat a Premier League side, it's to have a post-match interview with, oh my God, Andy Garner, isn't it? He slipped it in there, by the way. Did anyone notice it? He slipped, oh my God, in there. We were listening to him on the way back, and he said one thing, didn't he, Clive, that they said to the players at half-time, just relax, play without fear, and put crosses in the box. We did exactly that. And as soon as Kyle Noyle swung that ball in for Rhys Oates and I saw him rise, I think we all knew that ball was ending up in the back of the net. And to be honest, on the balance of the second half against the first half, we deserved the victory. I don't think anyone can claim we got lucky. I think we genuinely deserved to win.
I think so. And I think the one noticeable difference as well, I mean, it's one of my pet hates, is we never win any second balls, or we don't win a fair share of second balls. We were doing it at Turf Moor. We were at Bloomfield Road on Tuesday. We've gone back to the form where every time we intercept a ball, it doesn't go to one of our players. But going back to the cross from Noyle, prior to that, sterling work by Lucas Aitkins to feed him. And he had to develop that from nothing, because we'd got his back to goal. It was a creative short pass that got Noyle in a position where his first hit was a good cross. And then the rest was down to a superb header, you know. And I think if you can only do that once a game, you're going to get something out of it. We're just not doing that enough.
No, we're not, and it's very unfortunate that we're not. But on Saturday, Jim, we certainly did do that. Obviously, Lewis Reed's free kick was phenomenal. Match of the day, we were the featured game. We were the first game on Match of the Day. It's the first time I've watched it in years. Once someone said we were first on it, and to be honest, Jim, it was just a brilliant day all round. Clive, Alan, and I, and my dad, we were in the seated section, pretty much right at the front, probably about 10 or 12 rows back. We had a perfect view of the ball going in the back of the net. Whereabouts were you in the Burnley stand, and what was the atmosphere like around you? Because it was special around us for sure.
I was just left of the goal, quite near the front. You could tell the atmosphere was brilliant. We really, the noise from the away end was really, really good. It was louder than the home fans, I've got to say. Even when we were queuing just to get in through the turnstiles, the singing and the noise was a brilliant atmosphere. It shows how good our fan base is, which I think, you know, compared to other clubs in this league and around the country, I think it's a really good fan base. And as I say, it was, without bringing it down on anything, it was a fantastic day. But we've got to convert it into the league. It all just means nothing for me unless we get our act together domestically. It's still got to be the focus. I think people need to sort of stop thinking about Arsenal.
I think that's what's really frustrating for me tonight, Alan, because obviously we want to sit here and revel in the glory, but we just know that the league is so important for us. So just for a second, just for 5 minutes, let's allow ourselves to forget about the league. Let's not worry about it for 5 minutes and actually look at it in isolation in a moment in history. And I don't know about you, but it felt such a special result and performance for me. I mean, there's been so many over the years where you can sort of look and go, wow, what a game that was. You know, Sheffield United in the previous round when we were, 4-1 up at one point and we all had a great day out. But, you know, the night that we got promoted as well was a special one. We've seen so many, but Saturday afternoon was great. I paused Match of the Day afterwards, or the highlights afterwards, and there's a shot. I've not got it on screen to put on because it is quite blurry because I've zoomed in quite a little bit. But obviously you can see me, my dad, you and Clive on that. You two are looking at each other in absolute shock. Me and my dad are looking at each other in absolute shock. I think it took me and probably until about 7:30 on Tuesday night to actually see that sunk in and realise, you know, we've got to kick on now and focus elsewhere. But yeah, just for 5 minutes, let's revel in that as a solo afternoon for us. What a historic day.
We can ask Clive. Obviously, we were all sat together, and I was stood next to Clive. And as soon as they put the ball down for the free kick, Macca strode up to look at it. And Reedy, you know, you could see him having a bit of a conflag with Reedy. And I said to Clive, he'll tell you this. I said, Reedy, top corner. And it was just, you know, it's things that the FA Cup's made of, isn't it? It was superb. And I knew that they'd hang on in the end because they deserved it. But it's like you said, you know, we should have been 3-0 down in the first half. But that's the point, isn't it? You know, like we're Mansfield in the league. If you don't take your chances, look where Burnley are. You must make chances like we do. But, you know, on the day, we deserved everything we got on Saturday. And it was just tremendous. And I'm really looking forward to Arsenal. But in the league, I do honestly believe, because, you know, how Mansfield, you know, they always come up trumps. I think we'll beat Lincoln. I really do.
Yeah, you know, Alan, when you trump, it smells of daisies.
Oh dear. I don't know.
Anyway, going back to Burnley for a second, it was a terrific experience, I think, for the fans because we're there in great numbers. A new stadium for most people, a nice stadium, a good traditional ground that's been brought up to the sort of level it's played at. The stewards and everybody were very efficient, and I was most impressed. But your dad, Craig, your dad, a pensioner, was frisked and strip searched to an inch of his life going in.
He loved it.
He took all his clothes off.
You're inside of that. I don't think he's been fondled so much. I know it's Valentine's Day, but well, you do usually go around 2 or 3 times, to be fair.
Well, I try to. In fact, you know, on the Lincoln game, Alan, I've got your stick of aniseed rock from Blackpool. I shall have it in my trousers. I wonder if they'll frisk me. I wonder what it is.
I think I might give that one a miss, and I might just let you present it on the day.
Oh dear!
It'll have been sniffed by the sniffer dog.
Yeah, let's move swiftly on and back to Burnley, shall we, Jim? Keely in the comments has said, "I've never cried so much at a football match. I was in utter shock." I have to admit, there was definitely a few tears in my eyes at full time because of the scale of what we've done. You know, you look at those moments and you think back, like I referenced before, Jim. You know, watching the players on the pitch celebrating promotion. Coming so close against Liverpool all those years ago, and all of that sort of stuff. And I sort of stood looking at my dad, and we were both sort of filling up a little bit because, you know, we've all been there, haven't we? You know, the likes of Hayes and Yedding on a Tuesday night, Hyde United, and all of the rubbish that comes with it. No disrespect to them, but it's different levels. So it's not often you get to experience those things. So it's no wonder that emotion was very much allowed.
Yeah, and it's what the game's about, isn't it? You know, highs and lows. You have got to enjoy the highs. You're right. I mean, we should celebrate the Burnley win. And it was special. I remember it forever. I remember the Sheffield United game forever, I think, as well. You know, especially that second half performance where we just ripped them to pieces for about 15 minutes. But what was the real positive as well from Saturday was, I think, even though, like you say, we should have been out of sight at half time, well, they should have been. I think we really stuck with it. We never let heads go down. We stuck together, and we kept believing him and really took it to him, which is a real positive. We weren't overawed in any way, and that's a positive for the rest of the season. And I think Garner said that afterwards, didn't he? He says we'll be all right because we stick together, and I think that is. It sounds like a soundbite, but I think it's big. To have a united group, and that's very evident, I think.
And that united front, Cam, as well, is evident. I mean, one of my favourite things after the game, especially when we've won away from home, this is why I think it's more special away sometimes, because we're all together, we're all in one end. We've all got this collective belief or whatever, is watching the players come down and applaud. And they're not just coming down, Mansfield's players, to applaud and do the box ticking thing of going, oh, thank you to the fans for coming along. They're coming down because they genuinely love what we give them back. And like Marie says in the comments, Cam, I think Macca could have stayed there out there all night to watch his party because he absolutely loves it. And Liam Roberts, Lewis Reed, all the players, even Nigel Clough, I felt had a bit of a lump in his throat. And I would put 10p on the fact that Nigel Clough didn't want to do the post-match on Saturday because he probably felt he would have said something that would have been taken maybe out of context. The emotion was there for all to see.
Yeah, it was. And I think you've got to look at the teams that we've beat in this competition so far. And you're thinking, like, right, we should beat Harrogate, and we did. We should have beat Accrington more comfortably, we did, but we won. And then you look at the last two rounds, we beat Sheffield United, nearly 4,500, nearly 5,000 away fans, absolutely buzzing, beaten playoff final champions in the Championship last season. One kick away from the Premier League. They got 90 points last season. We shouldn't have been in that game, but that crowd got us that result and spurred us on. Burnley, all right, they're not doing great last season, got promoted, 100 points out of the Championship. We should not be able to compete with these teams. And every time you talk to a player or a manager, and it's always, the fans got us this, the fans got us this. It's always the fans that have backed us. And like you said, when you're away and we're all together, it's brilliant because the atmosphere is all in one place. I'm not saying that it's poor at home, but us opening the Bishop Street stand very rarely get any players coming towards us. I don't know whether that's just out of habit, just not used to the fans being there, but it's always in that one corner. Whereas away from home, we're all in one place. The noise is all coming from one direction. And
well, are they playing? Have they reformed, have they?
I mean, maybe not all of them, but moving on. But it's that we have got such a loyal fan base and the atmosphere we create when we go away from home and the numbers that we're travelling in. Just outstanding, and the players always, and like you said, the players love it. And I think you look at the situation Liam Roberts was in a year ago, and the difficulties that he's had, to now see the reaction that he gave to the fans on Saturday after the win. Honestly, I think if he'd have screamed any louder, I think his head might have exploded. The passion that guy's got is just unreal, and we are just so crazy about our football club, and it's just the players are giving it back, and it's brilliant to watch.
It really is, Jim, a labour of love. But hey, what's love got to do with it? Oh no, that's not One Direction, is it? It's not One Direction.
Oh no, it's something that it's in the blood, isn't it? From a young age, I think. And it's almost like, I don't know if addiction is the right word, but yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes it puts you on a low and you hate them, and you can never sort of walk away from it, I think.
No, you certainly can't. The reward, Alan Wilson, is a home tie against Arsenal. Providing Port Vale don't get through, we will be the lowest ranked team against the highest ranked team in round 5. The first time we've been in the 5th round of the FA Cup since 1975. When the draw was made, obviously elation that it's Arsenal, a really big tie. And, I think we all knew that would be on TV, which indeed we are. I think it's a 12:15 kickoff. For that one. Was there a slight tinge of disappointment, though, Alan, that we weren't drawn away from home from a financial benefit point of view, plus new ground, all of that sort of thing?
Not personally for me. I would have liked to have seen West Ham at home, for how we beat them in 69, etc., etc. But I was very pleased with Arsenal, and it's nice to get a home team. Bring them down here and let's have a go at them at home. I just hope they can produce the same sort of performance.
I think they should take them on a tour of the ground and show them your box. Make them realise what the real world's about.
Now, for any Arsenal fans watching tonight who may be wanting to find out a little bit more about Mansfield, that is not a euphemism. Alan Wilson is the club's PA announcer, and he has his own special box with its ceiling tiles.
It's not even a box, it's a cupboard.
Listen, don't mess with Alan's cupboard. Don't mess with Alan's cupboard. It's a very special place on Earth. From a psychological point of view, though, Jim, I'm not for a second suggesting that we can beat Arsenal, right? Stranger things have happened, and like I've said, I'd much rather us concentrate on the league and all of that sort of stuff. However, on a one-match basis, from a psychological point of view, drawing them at home is an advantage, right?
Yeah.
It should be for any other team, but we seem to be better away. But I think you look at Arsenal in their case, they've sort of got it all on with the Premier League, the Champions League, and I think for clubs like that, the FA Cup, it's a trophy, but it's very much bottom of the priorities. I think that they're not going to send a full strength 11. I'd have thought there'll be good players. Don't get me wrong, but I think they won't be used to people like Reece Oates in the face. And things like that. For me, what will really determine it, potentially, is how the referee applies the rules. Because you can imagine them getting, if we rough them up a little bit, you can imagine them just jumping all over the floor, holding the face and all that sort of thing. And it depends how the referee, if the referee's having none of it and just lets it all go, I think that's big.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Cam, you were signalling VAR then. I don't know where we sit with that. There seems to be a lot of confusion, doesn't there, about whether or not VAR will be in place.
From what I read on the FA website, I think it is, but we don't. We get that, but we don't have the semi-automated offside thing because that is too technical for our ground. All VAR is just a couple of cameras around, just linked to a monitor, which makes perfect sense. But yeah, it's that. I mean, then again, we've been stiffed by some questionable decisions this season, so we might actually get on the right end of it. But yeah, like Jim said, it's all down to how the referee deals with it. But again, like you said, the psychological advantage, it's that I went to the Emirates earlier it'd have been the start of the season for a concert. And you look at the size of that ground and you're thinking, I wouldn't fancy coming here for a football match. You've got 60 odd thousand when it's full capacity, which realistically for FA Cup, it'd probably be cheaper for them because they're thinking like, right, we'll make it cheaper than a Premier League game, or fans are going to be like, oh, I don't really want to go to that. So the tourist fan will go to it. Either way, that's still 60,000 fans. Whereas at Field Mill, it's less than 10 and the fans are right on top of you.
But
like you said, it's that they're not going to be used to dealing with this. And also, they've got a massive game in the Champions League 3 days later. They are not playing a full-strength team against us. No chance.
I see what you're getting at, Craig. If you're in the Arsenal dressing room, you're not going to be up for that game here. You just want to get in and get out. And they've got no to win, really, because they're expected to win. Whereas we've got nothing to lose. He'd far rather be in our dressing room. We've got the underdog dressing room, haven't we? So it's a horrible game for an Arsenal player. And so we have got the rub of the green there, yeah.
Indeed we have. And there's plenty more to talk about when it comes to the Arsenal game. We're going to talk financial impact and what it can do for the club off the pitch. But first, we have to talk about our financial impact as well. Yes, that's right. It's the ads. Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters Podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters Podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. I have to smile at myself during that because I just remembered one thing Clive said to me on Saturday at Burnley at some point. He went, "Craig, you know the Actifier ad during the show?" I was like, "Yeah." "Is that you?" "Yes, it's me. I do the voiceover for that. Wonders will never cease." I think I blew Clive's mind at that point.
I don't think I could, in my entire 73 years, I've ever been more impressed with anybody than I'm with you, with the Actifier ad. Hey,
Well, we'll change that
talented,
later.
such a small person.
I know, we'll change that later when we play a brand new game. But anyway, let's move back to all things at FA Cup, shall we?
Can I just go back to the FA Cup for a second? Because I was going to mention this, but you forgot to ask me.
Go on.
I've got a grumpy grouse about TV coverage. You mentioned we're on television. Well, every game's on television. We haven't got a prime slot. We've been shifted, haven't we? And we're on TNT. Look who's on the BBC.
Oh,
Prime
I know.
slot. Fucking Wrexham again. And the BBC's tongue must be long and sugar-coated to go up the backside of Wrexham every time there's a bloody opportunity. Bloody Nora. They shouldn't even be playing football in our FA Cup.
I completely agree. They're a Welsh side, and also, I don't even they got Chelsea, haven't they? Chelsea in the next round. There's only a 1 league difference between them. I think there's better ties anyway, but because it's Wrexham, they got on TV. I'm sure they got on TV in the last round with an all-league tie, or one of the rounds with an all-league tie.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
and the one before that against Forest.
It's just a joke. Like this, it's not just because it's Wrexham. It's not jealousy. It's just that it gives other teams.
Rectum, not Wrexham.
Other teams need to have that. That opportunity to put themselves on the main stage and everything that comes with it. It's very frustrating. As for us, though, we are indeed on TV in the next round, as Clive mentioned, Alan. TNT Sports and Discovery Plus, 12:15 kickoff on the Saturday. So set your alarms nice and early. And as much as we were frustrated, or I'm slightly frustrated with the fact it's not away because I want to maximise on the revenue. Actually, flip it on the other side, what it does for us is actually really good. I think sometimes we get so blindsided in this thing of looking at capacity as the way of bringing in revenue and money that we actually don't appreciate the other impact it has on the town and the area. Arsenal coming to One Call Stadium in a couple of weeks' time is huge for the area of Mansfield. It's a massive opportunity for the club in terms of commercial gain, in terms of new advertisers, new revenues. Now they've got the LED scoreboard. Make sure the brightness is right, people. They've got ultimate opportunity to maximise that. If the club think about it and do it right, they've got opportunity to maybe do a one-off match day programme, which I think they should do. Also, for businesses in the town, it's a massive opportunity. Footfall inside the town centre. Town centres are dying, but there'll be it's going to be a sellout, so there's going to be just under 10,000 people all wanting to go somewhere before a match. It's huge for those restaurants, bars, shops, all of those opportunities in the town centre. So actually, it being at home is massive for us. And I'm going to come on to a little rant about the FA Cup in just a minute, but staying purely on the commercial side, Alan, and the financial gain from it. This FA Cup run and this season that we're having outside of the league, this year, I think it is potentially quietly, and I'm sure we'll discuss it more in the summer, the foundation or the initial springboard for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years of Mansfield Town Football Club in terms of growth and pushing towards the Championship. From the FA Cup alone, Alan, we will have netted, by the time it's all finished, including fees for going through as winners, shares of gate revenue, TV money, commercial money. I think this FA Cup run, I don't think it would be fair to say, I think it's worth around £1 million for us, and that's huge for a club like Mansfield.
It is, and long may it continue. And if Arsenal do what we think they might do and play, a weakened side, like you said before. We know about the strength they'll have on the bench and etc. etc. But it can only prove positive for us. It's fantastic that they're coming here, and I would imagine, like you said, we get quite a bit of money off the TV coverage. So all in all, it's thanks to John and Caroline for keeping us afloat, and I'm sure they'll use it wisely.
Yeah,
Doesn't it just bring it into perspective, though? £1 million we'll gain out of this, and that sounds like a lot of money. It plays one Arsenal player for a month.
Yeah, probably not even that, which is just, the levels are just ridiculous. Jim, I want to come to you for a second to talk about progression on and off the pitch as well, and what the Arsenal game can bring. And I think the club now have got a huge opportunity, or a huge responsibility now to get this right. There is a short time frame to turn this round. It's in a couple of weeks' time, 7th of March, isn't it? I think the game. So not only 2 or 3 weeks before the game itself. The club have got a huge responsibility as we speak now, live Thursday, the 19th of February, 24 minutes past 8. The tickets aren't on sale. No ticket details have been announced whatsoever. So we have no indication on prices, no indication on how that ticket system will work. The club now have got a huge choice and a huge decision to make, haven't they, in terms of, is it going to be season ticket holders first? Because if it's not, that's going to cause uproar. Is it going to be priority for everyone that's been to all 4 games, which again, that's going to cause uproar as well, because if we were doing that, then we're not going to be able to necessarily get the season ticket seats that we have. All of these decisions have got to be taken in by the powers that be at the club, and they have to get it right. And at the very heart of that, Jim, they have to put the fan experience and the fans' thoughts and feelings bang centre rather than just commercial gain.
Yeah, and I think as regards priority, I think we'll see something similar to what we've seen before. It'll be people who've been to every game, then season ticket holders, then general sale, I would imagine, which is fair, I guess. In regard to the pricing, we've got to remember we've paid £10 at Sheffield United, £10 at Burnley, I think.
12 at Burnley,
yeah.
wasn't it?
So,
yeah.
You say maximise commercial money. I would have thought you'd probably get more money from being in the round itself, from the tournament sponsors and the TV money, rather than an extra £5 on gate money per ticket. So I wouldn't be charging £30 or anything like that. I would sort of £15 really. I think the money to be made will be elsewhere on that day rather than ticket money.
I don't agree, Jim. I think the club will see this as one opportunity to maximise.
I agree.
And I can see them wanting to charge at least the normal £30 an adult. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't premiumise that. But, at the end of the day, they'll make that decision. But Craig was spot on. If they don't give season ticket holders the first dibs at their own seats, there'll be a riot.
Yeah, and I will call them out as well. I will not be happy.
I think they will. And then they'll have a pecking order for the remainder. But don't forget, if all the season ticket holders take their seats, we've got 1,500 seats left in the ground for home fans. There's going to be more than 1,500 people want them.
I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, Alan, but the interesting thing there is, and it's something Caroline mentioned, I don't know if she was being tongue-in-cheek on one of her talkSPORT interviews, they've had murmurs about a temporary stand in terms of, because there's a place for it, where the Bishop Street fan zone is.
Say something about on top of the stand.
Yeah, it could be cleared, and you could get another stand in there. It's whether or not it gets passed.
No. I want my Bovril at half time. Don't you dare do that.
I think that was more tongue in cheek.
I don't think there's a cat and else chance of any constructive increase of attendance on that game.
I don't think it's even possible, because that's where the disabled and female toilets are.
It's possible because they can be moved. And there's space, ample space for it to be moved in an accessible area, in my opinion.
It's prepared for that, but I just think the time it would take to get the steels and all the other stuff that you need to do, even if you put a temporary Gillingham stand up, I'm not sure they'll do it. I really am not.
You say about the time it takes for steel and that, Clive, you're forgetting one thing. Hi, I'm Sid Pepper. That's, he's a man who can make things happen. Let's go back to pricing for a second there, because Jim, and I put out a little bit of a snap poll on our Twitter earlier today, asking people what they feel would be a reasonable price to A, make it accessible for supporters to actually attend the game, and B, ensure that the club profits for the future and what they'd be happy to spend. The options were £10 as per previous rounds, £20, £30 or £40 and above. 43% actually went with £30. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I quite like as I say, I think that the money to be made on the day won't be on tickets. I think it'd be on all the sort of commercial stuff that goes with it. But I like the fact that it's £10 the last previous rounds. I think it's nice that it's made it more for the fan rather than someone's pocket, and I quite like that. I think 15 quid's enough. It's not like you're not missing out on that much more money. And I think, you look at our league games, I know it's Arsenal, but we don't fill the ground as it is. I think I would sooner just slightly cheaper, make sure it's going to be full anyway. But, just think about the fans for a change. I think that's partly what the spirit of the competition is about. And they'll make the money in other ways.
Yeah, they certainly will, Clive. I think, like we said, they've got the LED boards and all of that, and I'm sure that they'll maximise on that and the hospitality and all of that as well. I think personally around the £20 to £25 mark would be reasonable. I think we'll sell out, but I think what we've got to do is we've got to put the price point at a price point which encourages fans to come, because let's not forget it's on TV. It'll be shown in probably most of the pubs around the area as well, and around the county as well. What we've got to do is we've got to make sure that small percentage, and it will be a small percentage of tickets which are left after season ticket holders, after FA Cup attendee priority and all of that, the knock on from that small pocket, we've got to encourage people to come inside the ground, because it's not just about buying the ticket and getting through the door. It's about going into the club shop, buying a little bit of merch. I'm sure there'll be a half and half scarf. I saw some dodgy Burnley ones on Saturday knocking around as well. Buying a tea, a bovril, a pie or whatever, going into the bars, into the marquee. It's more than just the ticket price, but the ticket price is the draw to get people to the stadium in the first place.
Don't agree with you. I think the draw is the fact we're playing Arsenal for once and probably the only time. I think the reality is if we can't sell 1,400 to 1,500 tickets when we've got Arsenal in the ground, there's something wrong. And I think that's one of the thoughts that the club will have. And I think the other thing they're going to think about is they've got 1,500 away fans coming into the North Stand. Now they're representing a club that charges about 90 quid a ticket for a poor seat. So they will see whatever we choose to charge as being a bargain. So they can maximise the income from the away fans. But of course, the rules of the league says you can't treat away fans differently to the home fans. The way you would do that is to give a substantial discount to season ticket holders, because that's allowable. I don't think they will. I think it's all too complicated. And I do think that if they follow Jim's line, which is to keep it low and happy, it'll be a measure of the club's commitment to being customer-centric, because I'm not sure they're as customer-centric as they would like you to think they are. And that's probably true of every club, not just ours. The temptation to maximise profit on this is glaringly there at a club that's never got any real money. But I think the balance is how you do it. And I think your poll was interesting. If people are prepared to pay 30 quid, they see it as value at the same price as they would pay for a casual league game.
Can I just say that that's a very small minority of Mansfield fans that have voted on that, and it's not been on for that long.
It's an indicator, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody will ask the question. If you said, "Would you like to pay £10 or £30?" I think you'd probably get 100% on the lesser figure. But the reality is, the club will have to make a decision, and whatever the decision they make, we have to put up with. But if they drop a PR clanger on this, they've only themselves to blame.
Yeah, they have. It's a big decision, and those in the power seats have got a lot of work to do. There are other areas, Cam, though, where the club can profit and provide us with mementos and stuff from the day. The commercial side of things, they've got to make sure that the club is fully stocked. They've got to get on the phone to the kit manufacturers and really make sure that they've got enough stock in, not just in terms of replica shirts, but also, you know, the hoodies, the jackets, the scarves, the gloves, the little Mansfield Town pens, all those little tidbits that someone can take away. But I think the big thing for me, and this goes back to football of old, I understand why we don't do a program every single week now. I understand that the costings, the printings, and the fact that we live more in a digital world. But I think the club have got a huge opportunity here. Memorabilia program for the Arsenal game, I think, would go down really, really well. It's another opportunity for businesses to gain a little bit of extra commercial value in terms of an advert in the program. It's an opportunity for fans to take something away from the game, because I know a lot of people will be wanting digital tickets, but I would love an actual ticket for that game, you know, to put it in a frame with some photos. Likewise, I would have done, you know, for the Burnley game, but in the end, it was just paper printouts because everything's QR coded, etc. So it's a big opportunity. I know it's a tight turnaround, but if I was Steve, I'd be knocking on the door of the commercial manager and saying, "What do you think about this? Shall we take it up to elevate it to the board level?" Because I think even a small quantity, you don't need to have 10,000 printed. A small quantity, I think, would sell out.
Yeah, a couple hundred. Because I know some people aren't sentimental. I know, like you say, the thing about the half and half scarves. I wouldn't be bothered, but I know my nephew probably would be bothered if I can get him a ticket. I know he probably wants something to remember this game by. It's that we've got the potential to... Don't call me out for saying this. We've got the potential to cash in heavily on the casual fan. Which is an awful thing to say. But we've got people that have not been... like the amount of posts that I've seen on Facebook of when's things tickets, how do you get a ticket? And it's like, quite clearly not a fan then, if you don't know how to get a ticket. And it's frustrating, but like we said, we've only got 1,300 to play with of general sale tickets potentially. It's not much.
Big opportunity. Big opportunity.
Is.
But let's move on. Alan, let's wrap things up on all things Arsenal, and before we talk about the FA Cup in general and move on elsewhere. It's a great draw for us. It's a great opportunity for us. Is there anything in particular that you would like to see happen for the Arsenal game, other than the prize money from round 4 being directly pushed towards your box?
No, just everybody have a really good day out. Get the atmosphere up, which I'm sure that all the stands will, all the singers, like we are when they're doing the away fan end. I'm sure it'll be a cracking day, whatever happens. But just beware Arsenal if you don't take it seriously.
Well, let's hope they don't take it seriously indeed. Now, Cam, I want to turn our attention to something else, because this week, you and I have got a little bit annoyed over something we've seen on Twitter, and it's this. Would you like to talk us through it?
I mean, he's a Premier League fan, so he's talking out of his utter arse. Mark Goldbridge, for those that don't know, Mark Goldbridge, I believe, is an ex-copper with Notts Police. I think that's the worst thing about it.
He is. He was born in Nottingham, yeah.
Yeah, he's from Nottingham, and he supports...
His name's not even Mark Goldbridge.
No, it's not.
Not even his real name.
I don't even know it, to be fair. And he just he's that much of a fan. He watches the home games on a stream that's realistically going to be an illegal stream, because you can't watch every single Premier League fixture as with us because of the TV blackouts. This needs calling out. A weekend for a trophy no one takes seriously anymore. Too many games and the vast majority feeling weakened teams. Search your heart, the FA Cup is dead. And that is spoken by a Premier League football fan. And I think the most frustrating thing is that his team got knocked out, round 3? Round 4? Round 4. No, round 3. Got knocked out by Brighton. He has no right to comment. And his team got knocked out by a Premier League team as well. And it's not even... I just don't understand it. The modern day football fan this is what it is. It lives and breathes social media interaction. And don't get me wrong, he's got the interaction, but Christ, it's nearly swore quite badly then. It's annoying because a lot of the comments are, and this is coming from other influencers within the football spectrum as well, saying, go and tell that to the Mansfield fans, tell that to the Wrexham fans years ago, go and tell that to Grimsby last year or the year before, whatever it was, when they made the quarter-final, go tell that to Lincoln when they made the quarter-finals as a non-league team. The FA Cup is not dead. The FA Cup is what it is, and if your team doesn't take it seriously, that is on you, not on your club.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, go on. I think I made most of the points, but go on. I think yours is going to be just as bad.
This guy is a grade A idiot. Grade A, out of touch, idiot. Not a football fan. He is the problem, and people like him are the problem of why people think the FA Cup is dead and why football is dying. Let's, for a second, just touch upon what he said there. Like Cam said, he has got famous from sitting behind a desk, all right, like this, on a match day, reacting to things on what is, I'm going to say 99% probable that it's an illegal stream, and has profited from that. And because that's taken a avalanche style effect, other people are doing the same, and other people are profiting from that and making careers out of that. That is wrong. And people are younger people are consuming football in that way. They're consuming football through a phone, through YouTube, through TikTok, through all of that. That is absolute, and I'm going to give a swearing word now because I can't be asked to keep pressing the censor. It is absolute bollocks. That is what's ruining football. He's too busy trying to be Soccer Saturday that he doesn't understand the core of what the competition is. To say that no one takes it seriously is absolute rubbish. I'm not even talking about us now. Let's look at the other example who have benefited massively from the FA Cup this year. Another former MTFC, now MFC, in Mansfield. 10 years or so ago, maybe even shorter than that, they had no football club. They were dead. They were dead and buried. Their fans had nowhere to go on a Saturday afternoon, and they were rescued by a man who took a bit of a chance, and they've had a success story ever since, but they're still in the lower echelons of the Football League, and they've had to fight and fight and fight to get to the FA Cup fourth round. They knocked out the FA Cup holders on their own turf. They would have loved to have gone to Crystal Palace and maximise the revenue that they've got, but the run that they had has set them up financially. In the next 5 years, they will be back in the Football League because of what they've done this year. And it's the same for a club like us. For fans like me and Cam and Jim, who weren't around the first time that Mansfield knocked out a top-tier side in the FA Cup, Saturday was a moment of pure history, which we will never forget. I'll never forget looking at my dad at full time, looking him in the eye and thinking, what the fuck have we just done? That is, an absolute moment of magic. The photos from that, I've brought a frame. I'm going to print out some of the photos. I'm going to put it on the wall. It's going to be something that I remember forever. And I'm sure other fans will do something similar. The financial boost that it gives to clubs like Mansfield, to clubs in the lower league, can't be written off. And to say that, clubs don't take it seriously, I think there was something like 179 changes from the previous game in the FA Cup. That's not the fault of Mansfield or Macclesfield or any of those lower league sides that have pulled up off giant killings. That's called squad rotation, and that's on the managers of those clubs to do that. Mansfield, when we played Burnley, still played against a team that was full of Premier League talent and still beat them. Macclesfield did the same against Brentford, against Crystal Palace. Other teams have done the same. It's not the fault of lower league fans that that teams are weak in the FA Cup. The FA Cup is not weak. The FA Cup is magic because of that. The FA Cup is magic because managers and these higher league teams have this fucking arrogance about them that these minnows Mansfield will get turned over with the under 18s. Get some fucking realism in your life. The FA Cup is not dead. The FA Cup is well and alive, and it will propel us and propel clubs like Macclesfield for the future. You are the fucking problem of what is wrong with football and social media. Get from behind your desk, go and watch a fucking game in real life, and then you might understand what the point of fucking football is, you out of touch knobhead.
Can I just say something? I think United. He's a Man United fan, isn't he? And I think
sorry.
Right.
He's not a Man United fan because a fan is somebody who goes to games week in, week out, or 80 or 70% of the time. A fan is not somebody who sits on their fucking arse behind a screen and reacts to a dodgy stream. That is an influencer who is just jumping on a bandwagon. That is not a fan. That is a moron.
Yeah, I agree. But when United won the FA Cup a few years ago, I think he was all excited then. So he does rate the FA Cup. I think he's not interested because United aren't in it.
Could it just
Simple
be,
as that.
chaps, that this gentleman, who I know not because I don't participate on Flip Flop or whatever he's putting his stuff out on, is just manipulating content to get a reaction? And you've got one from Craig.
How dare you accuse me of manipulating content to get a reaction, Clive? How dare you?
I mean, you're right in a way, Clive, because he is, but it's that us as lower league football fans have got this narrative being pushed on us that the FA Cup is dead and this, that, and the other. And literally, the fact that Macclesfield beating Palace in the last round is the biggest shock to have ever happened in this cup competition. It hadn't happened for over 100 years for a non-league side to knock out the current holders. It's what makes the FA Cup the FA Cup. You look what happened with us when we won the conference. Lincoln did it 2 years later. You just look at the things it did. Even Luton and Macclesfield also went on cup runs the year that we played Liverpool, and it got Luton the money and the finance to get them promoted the season after.
The point is, Lincoln is a good example because the finance they got from their epic FA Cup run when they were still non-league set them up for the following 5 seasons. And the reality is, for a club like Lincoln and Mansfield and Macclesfield and lots of others, the importance is far greater than can be understood by people who watch rarefied Premiership teams, because they have no interest in gate receipts. The reason that people like Burnley weren't bothered about coming to the game in great numbers is because it's not because they hate the FA Cup. It's just not as important to them as it is to us. And the fact that they don't care about the gate receipts is because the gate receipts really don't matter to a Premiership club. The Premiership clubs have almost zero dependency on gate receipts, whereas in the EFL, we have almost total dependency on gate receipts. And that's because the way that the media money is skewed in favour of the top 20 clubs. Now, I think that's not going to change overnight. And this cretin who's spouting his mouth, he's doing it only for impact and effect. And that's what people on social media do. And can I change the subject very slightly? Because you may use the word twice there, influencer. We were sat in Burnley, very close to an influencer who we hadn't realised this young lady was an influencer. What we had realised there was dragoons of teenage boys turning up in front of us, queuing to have a selfie with this young lady.
Hey, it was quite. It turns out she was
she's the girlfriend of Iro. So I'm thinking, bloody hell, these lads are queuing up to have a photograph taken with the girlfriend of a lone player who may or may not make it big in the world of football. But of course they weren't, because in the world of influencers, which I don't occupy, this young lady was important to them. She was also a delight to look at. And I'm sure the lads have got the photographs blown up on their bedroom walls by now. But the reality is she makes a lot of money out of doing something I don't understand.
Listen, 3 things here. The first, I would absolutely pay good money to see Clive parking on TikTok. The world of Clive would be fantastic content. And as your agent, I am now going to make that happen. The second thing, you're absolutely spot on with that. It really riles me sometimes when young supporters, even when they're attending a game, watch the game through their phones. Yes, I don't mind the vloggers that go around and go around the grounds because they're trying to do something and they're documenting their journey, and I appreciate that. It's those that spend the whole match filming it and watching it through the phones and not taking it in. When I first started going to watch football, it wasn't a thing. And on a jokey point of view, on my second point is those young fellows who quite literally queued up down the steps to have a photo with the young influencer during the halftime break at Burnley. Have no idea that we actually won 2-1 because they spent the second half looking at their phone, drooling over the first photo they'd had of the girl and speaking to each other, praising each other for the first experience they'd had interacting with an actual real-life human female. So Valentine's Day, what a day it was for them. And the third and final point to bring this rant to a huge conclusion is... on idiots like that, we've occupied far too much time to slagging this one individual off. So I'm just going to change the narrative slightly. Yes, he is an idiot, but that's exactly why he put it on Twitter, because he wants the reaction. He's got it not from just me, but from numerous outlets as well. But social media is the problem in terms of how we consume football. Years and years ago, after a result like Mansfield against Burnley on Saturday, where would people consume that? The radio. And yes, people could argue that we are a social media thing and this is broadcast on social media, but it's also broadcast on an audio platform. And the actual crux of it, when you strip this back, this is a radio discussion show. And I think...
sorry, just pointing out, we were audio before we were video.
There is that for 7 episodes. But also, it's the point of it is times change and people adapt with it, but sometimes it is the problem. And I just beg that when it comes to the Arsenal game, I know that there will be phones everywhere, left, right and centre, getting a grainy-ish picture. I mean, cameras are much better now and they develop, but still getting a grainy, wobbly picture of it shaking left, right and centre. Put your phone in your fucking pocket and then just enjoy the game and experience for what it is, because these things do not happen every single season. The magic is experiencing it with your eyes. And with that, experience some other clickbait content, which everybody loves. Yeah, that's right. It's podcast predictions.
The game of luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. Podcast predictions. I hear you say, how do you play? Podcast predictions. Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score 0, that's the game. Podcast predictions. We're not fools. This game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions. Podcast predictions. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions.
Yes, unfortunately, after the glory of the FA Cup, we do need to go back to the bread and butter of the league and podcast predictions. Let's first and foremost start with the results from Tuesday night, and it was a very low-scoring week in podcast predictions. Ryan JC was the winner with just 9 points. Overall, the top 5 looks as follows. I'm in 5th place with 286 points. Olivia Wilson in 4th place with 292. Limbo 74 on 305 points in 3rd. 2nd place, Matt Pearce at 308. And 20 points ahead at the top of the table is Chris Vincent. In terms of the Mansfield Matters League, the top 3, I'm in 1st place. Clive's in 2nd. Jim is in 3rd. And in terms of fancy points from Tuesday night, McLaughlin was the pick of the bunch with just 6 points. As ever, you can get your predictions in. Before we get your predictions, though, for the Lincoln game on Saturday, we need to have a quick look at the next 3 and our current form. Clive, it's not been the greatest form that we're in at the moment. Our last 6 games of the league, we're the only team in Sky Bet League One in the last 6 not to win a game. And if you look at the form of the teams that we're playing in the next 3 games, well, the Lincoln one is certainly difficult. 15 goals they've scored in the last 6, 5 wins and a draw, first in the form table. It's going to be a huge game, but it's the 2 games after that. AFC Wimbledon, who a week on Saturday come to One Call Stadium, just below us in the league, in different form at the moment, but they have won 2 in their last 6, as have Rotherham, who occupy, I think, second bottom in the league. But looking at both of those, Clive, they're both scoring goals, which we're failing to do.
Yeah, things change. I mean, we're in a bad form at the moment. We may, if we stay in that form for the rest of the season, we'll probably go down. That's not going to happen. We know that.
In terms of the next 2 or 3 games, then, Jim, obviously Lincoln will be a bit of a challenge. But looking at those 3 fixtures, we really have to kick on. And for me, we need to be getting a minimum of 6 points out of those 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I speak to a lot of Stags fans. A lot of people think we're going to win on Saturday. It's the sort. It would be typical Stags, wouldn't it? But I think the Wimbledon game is probably bigger because they're in and around us, and the Rotherham one as well. But I think we're going to get something. Perhaps not Saturday, but I can see us getting something from the 2 games after that. You know, yeah. We'll see. We're impossible to predict, aren't we? We're like trying to predict the British weather.
Well, it's time to predict the British weather, isn't it, Cam? Because it's time to do podcast predictions for the Lincoln game. You're going to be up first then. How are the Stags going to do as we welcome Lincoln City to One Call Stadium on Saturday afternoon?
Oh, I think because I'm not going to be there, and every game I've not been there this season, we've drawn. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And I think Liam Roberts will be our my hero not to score 0.
Alan?
3-2 win.
Oof.
And Dave?
Peak Mansfield, that.
It is Pete Mansfield. Clive?
I'm going to give you my hero first.
Okay.
And I'm going to go for Reed. But despite all his efforts, the scoreline will be Mansfield Town 0, Imps 2.
You pessimist.
Jim?
2-2 draw. Hendry.
I am also going to go on the side of Clive, I'm afraid. I think we're going to lose 1-0. And I'm going to say Dave as my hero. I really don't want us to, but I just don't see us beating Lincoln. I think we need to get through the Lincoln game, have a week's rest, and then really kick on. But I would love to be proved wrong. And as ever, if you want to get involved with podcast predictions, the link that you need is in the description. You must submit your guesses no later than 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's 90 whole minutes before kickoff on your selected game. And you can't pick the same player twice to be your fancy captain. Right, we've had great fun tonight on the Mansfield Matters podcast. We have had a lovely reflective chat about a historic day at Burnley. We've been honest and true about our league form and the trip to Blackpool. We've also had a little bit of a rant. And what I think we need to do to bring it full circle is to show that we are not just a group that will either go with the highs or the lows of what's on the pitch. We need to have a laugh too. We need to answer some key questions. And this week, we've got a brand new key question to ask. Yes, we are giving Alan Where's Your Bin a rest for a week as we answer the question and show why we should not be social media influencers. Although, to be honest, I think this game should take off. We're going to ask one key question all in the name of entertainment and having a laugh after the Blackpool game. I've got a great question for you all. And to be honest, arguably the best jingle that I have ever made. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time for... What's in my shoe? Is that not the best
How are we not
jingle ever made?
award-winning?
I know. Is that not the best jingle that we have ever made, Jim? You've
Love
got
it.
half a smile on your face, and that is a hard thing to achieve.
I love it. Brilliant. Can't we play it again?
Yes,
No.
we'll play at the end.
No,
Yes, we will
later.
play at the end to round off the feature. That is how it works.
Back in the day, we were all been in an asylum. You know that, don't you?
Well, this is it, all in the name of entertainment. Alan, I know it's not what's in Alan's bin, but I'm sure we'll rest it for next week. Yes, I have a question. It is, What's in Craig's shoe? I have an item within my shoe which, in a very similar concept and format to what's in Craig's bucket, you have to guess by asking 3 questions and 3 questions only, which I can only answer yes, no, or maybe, or give you a little bit of a steer along the way. And you've got to figure out what's in my shoe. What's in my shoe? That's what you've got to figure out. It's going to go in the following order. Alan, Cam, Clive, then Jim. Let's try and figure out what's in my shoe. What's in my shoe?
What's in my shoe?
Right, Alan.
I think it
Is
stinks.
it anything electrical?
Yes.
Is it? Would you buy it from a hardware store, like a
You
B&Q?
You could buy it from a hardware store, yes. I didn't buy this one from a hardware store, but you could. Clive.
Is this item used alone or with accompaniment?
With accompaniment.
You see, I broke the rules and so did you. Should have asked a question
Listen.
you can only say yes or no to.
It's yes, no, or maybe, or I can give you a steer, isn't it? So it's very loose on the rules.
To accompaniment.
Yes. So
Okay.
yes. Jim,
Is it family show appropriate?
obviously.
Okay.
Do you want to ask another question, or was
No,
that your
no,
question,
no.
or
Yeah,
was that
that's my
your actual
question.
question? Oh, that was your
Yeah,
actual question. What a waste of a question, Alan.
Can you use this certain item to make another item work?
In a roundabout way, yes.
Oh, that's thrown me off completely.
I aim to please.
This is worse than usual. Oh dear.
Come on, don't waste that university education.
I did that a long time ago. Don't worry. I don't know. Does this item cost more than £10?
Oh, that's a big question. Some do of this item. Some versions of this item do, but this one didn't. I would say it actually cost me around £10, actually. Clive.
It's electronic, yes or no?
Yes. Jim.
Do you use it daily?
I personally don't use it daily, but certain trades would use this daily, yes. Alan.
Do you use it on the podcast?
It's in his shoe, Alan.
I know it is.
I'll say on that technicality, yes, I do use it on the podcast. By fact, it's in my shoe and part of the feature that features on the podcast. But would I use it in everyday life on the podcast? No, but I have used it to construct things to enable me to do the podcast.
Oh, for God's
Oh,
dear, for God's
It's a
sake.
spanner.
I think it's the spanner that came up with the show.
Bit harsh on Nathan, that.
Yeah, fair
Can,
point.
can I say I know what it is?
I think I
come
have
on,
an
Put
idea.
everybody under pressure.
I think
Cam,
you've
come
got-
on.
Oh, for God's sake. Is it, does it come with multiple attachments?
Yes, Clive. Don't say what it is. This is your last question. You can throw. You could throw a curveball here to others, couldn't you? If
Yeah,
you
could
wanted
I
to. If
eat
you wanted
it?
to such
I
you,
eat it?
technically, you could eat. Technically, you could eat it. I wouldn't recommend it because that's one hell of a toilet trip after. But yes, you could eat it. Jim.
I have no idea. Could you buy it from Curry's?
No, I didn't. I didn't buy it from Curry's. So the question is, what's in my shoe? Alan Wilson, what do you think's in my shoe?
Some sort of electronic plug.
Cam, what's in my shoe?
I think it's an electric screwdriver.
Clive, what's in my shoe?
I think it's a memory stick.
Jim, what's in my shoe?
Mobile phone.
I can tell you that one person on the panel is absolutely spot on with what's in my shoe. But is it Alan? No.
No.
Is it Jim? No. Is it Clive? Is it Cam? The answer of what's in Craig's shoe is an electric screwdriver. It's Cam. That was an edition of. Get ready, everybody, sing along.
What's in my shoe? What's in my shoe?
What's in my shoe? And the reason it was an electric screwdriver is to screw a screw back into the brain of people like Mark Goldbridge, who actually clearly have a fucking screw loose. Right, let's move on, shall we, and round things up. Jim, Lincoln at home on Saturday should be a good atmosphere, shouldn't it? They're doing really, really well in the league, and it's a bit of a derby as well. What are you expecting us to do? Are you expecting the FA Cup to be well out of our brains?
Yeah, I think there'll be a bit of a reaction from the performance against Blackpool. And, I think the fans will be up for it. I could see us getting a point. I mean, this Lincoln's unbeaten run is a monkey on the back, innit? So, yeah, why not?
Clive, it's a good opportunity to get back to winning ways. I think Nigel Clough would absolutely snap your Blackpool rock off now for a draw, wouldn't he?
He would. And I think a draw would be a sensational result given the circumstances. But somebody said earlier on, just like Mansfield, when you're not expected to do anything, you will do. So I'm hoping my forecast is wrong, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Alan, big opportunity on Saturday. How critical is it now for us to absolutely focus on the league and not get swept away in all the Arsenal chatters? I'm sure, it will be rife on the terraces on Saturday, that's for sure.
I think after Tuesday night's disappointing show, I think we'll be back to all guns blazing on Saturday and you'll see a different Mansfield Town.
Can we have to be back to all guns blazing on Saturday, don't we?
If I'm being totally honest,
I thought
sucked you in and you fell for it anyway. And that is what we do every single week. We've got to kick him off the show. Kirsty in the comments, Cam, has said, please reach out to AFTV for a collaboration for the Arsenal game. Let's face it, they're not ready for what's in my shoe, are they?
They're also on the spectrum of Mark Goldbridge, so no, absolutely no chance.
Oh dear.
Yeah, no.
Hello, Toby.
Oh, we've got a dog joining us as well. Hi, Toby. No, this is easy. There we go. Right, we haven't got time for that. Thanks for watching. Sadly, that's all we've got time for on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast. My thanks, as ever, to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel, and more importantly, to you guys at home for watching or for listening. We're back in action then on Saturday afternoons. We welcome Lincoln City to One Call Stadium. As ever, don't forget to get your podcast predictions in now using the link in the description. And a reminder, you must submit your guesses no later than 90 minutes before kickoff. And you can't choose the same player twice as your fancy captain, otherwise you will lose points. We'll be back next week to recap that Lincoln game and look ahead to two huge games at the wrong end of the table as we take on AFC Wimbledon and relegation-threatened Rotherham. Make sure you follow us on all things social media to find out when we'll be live. Probably Thursday at 7:30 to be fair. In the meantime, keep rewatching that Lewis Reed free kick and remembering the glory of the FA Cup. Have a fantastic rest of your week. We'll see you next time.
Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited.
Your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifier Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.